everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am the Misfit Guru, and I think that I haven't really properly introduced myself, so I wanted to do that in this video, which is more of like a sit-down video, as you saw in the title. This is the first video to my post-grad series, just talking about like my experiences post-grad, my honest thoughts, and like any tips that I may have found on the way. And I do want to preface this is only my experience, so everything that I'm going to be saying and advice I'm going to be giving is going to be based on things that I have gone through and things that I have found to be helpful for other people. And so yes, I am the Misfit Guru, and the reason I named myself Misfit Guru is because growing up I've always kind of felt like a misfit. Like, I know, cringe, but like genuinely, truly, like I've always felt, you know, like the odd art kid, or like the queer kid, like as a bisexual, or you know, the only POC in the room growing up in a white town. Like I've just always felt like I'm sticking out, or like I'm a little different, and I've always felt like maybe I'm not the most perfect in the room, or maybe I don't fit a certain box or ideal. And that's something for a while I didn't really like about myself, and I didn't really celebrate it, and I kind of just looked at it as a fault, or looked at it as something I should be ashamed of. And that's kind of a big thing of what I'm going to be talking about today, is, you know, how that fits into post-grad life, how the boxes are kind of still there and how they're also not, and how you can kind of destroy those boxes that you created for yourself throughout society, throughout education of the 12 years that you're going to be, that you may have been in education. And that's kind of why I made the channel The Misfit Guru, is because I wanted to celebrate that. I wanted to celebrate the feeling like you don't fit into a box, or feeling of not really wanting to go into some sort of clique, or go into some sort of path because you feel that you have to do it, or that you should do it, but more because it's something you want to do. And so I call myself the Misfit Guru because I'm really into spirituality, and so I just thought it'd be a cute ring to it if I would just use my misfit knowledge and try to give some advice to anyone who needs it. And so yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So if you can hear my fan, apologies. Honestly, it's just so hot in here. I'm living in a dorm on campus at Boston University, and there's no air conditioning. Like, there's no air conditioning in this place at all, so I'm dying, and I need the fan on, so yeah, apologies. Hopefully, like, you can still hear me fine and everything. So, number one is nothing is off the table. You have full control, but also need to be open-minded for expecting the unexpected. So, something that I learned post-grad is you don't have to limit yourself to, like, into wanting something just because of your past, or maybe a degree you had, or maybe past internships you had, or experiences. You don't have to limit yourself to just that. Like, if that's what you want to do, like if you had 4 internships, or you had something planned out right away, and you know you're going to grad school for your major, or you have some jobs set up, or things like that, like that's great, go after it. But if you end up leaving college and you don't really want to pursue the major that you have, or you don't want to pursue the internships that you have, or maybe you have some other dream that you never got to pursue, or something that you maybe didn't have time to do during college that now you want to try, you don't have to limit yourself to what's easy and what's accessible and what's more possible for you to do. Like, you can achieve the impossible. If you need to take a year to work, to go home, to reroute, to like ask yourself again what you need, nothing is off the table, you know? And of course, like, we all have different experiences and different upbringings, and going home is not always an option. And to speak on my personal experiences, I was an English major and a theater minor, and I studied at University of Massachusetts Lowell for 2 years to get my bachelor's, and then I transferred to Boston University to finish my bachelor's for another 2 years. So I was an English and philosophy double major with a theater minor, and I ended up having to drop my philosophy major and just continue my English major and my theater minor at Boston University because there just wasn't enough time. And I originally wanted to pursue acting full-time and just do an acting major, and it wasn't agreed upon with my family. It wasn't really allowed. I was pretty much just told for the majority of my life that acting is just a hobby and that you can't really pursue it for real. You can't, major in it. You can't do jobs in it. You can't even do professional acting jobs. It's just not, accepted within my culture and my community. And so for a lot of times I just limited myself into thinking that's not what I wanted, and I limited myself into thinking the minor was enough and just doing some fun theater was enough. But after I graduated, I realized that I didn't want to pursue something with my English degree. I didn't want to go back to philosophy. I didn't want to, go to grad school for something that I'm not interested in just so I can have a stable career. I didn't want to go into a job that would get me stable money and then end up being unhappy. Like, that's just not, I kept finding myself lost. I would apply to things. I was going to do TV production because I thought that was the stable option to the closest thing that I actually wanted to do. And I had told myself for so long that I didn't want to do it, that I'd almost convinced myself that I didn't want to do it. And it really took taking that risk. You can always reroute, and maybe it'll take a little bit longer, or maybe it'll happen right away, who knows, but nothing is off the table. If you want to do something, don't go for just like the safe answer. Like, get out of your comfort zone and ask yourself what you really want, and don't be afraid to ask yourself for something that wasn't originally in your mind or wasn't your original intent. Number 2, anxious feelings and stressful feelings are completely normal. I mean, that's something that you probably have heard so many times, from so many people, but it's the truth. Like, when you get out of graduation, at least for me, I thought that I was just going to feel happy, like, finally done with classes and kind of have that stressful load off of us, the degrees off, and maybe a lot of people are feeling like that, but for the majority of us, the economy's trash, inflation, everything's expensive, it's so tough to find a job, so tough to find a good internship. Like, it's really hard, and it's scary to wake up every day and just think, oh, like, I don't have that structure waiting for me in the fall. I don't have that next thing, that next year. I don't really have to, I can just work during summer and then jump into the school year and not use my own thoughts to like really figure out my life. Oh, I can't do that anymore. And it's like even right now I'm going into September, and it's just so crazy to think that I don't have school, and I'm so relieved, but also it just feels like I'm supposed to have some more structure, or I'm supposed to have, it all together, but we're not. Like, I'm literally 22. Like, there's no way that I would have it all together. Like, all we can do is get up every day and tell ourselves that it's okay not to be perfect right now. Because this is not supposed to be this perfect halo time, It's not supposed to be that after graduation we're supposed to be super happy and super fulfilled and, have our life together and be like most perfect. I don't know, these people on, YouTube and stuff who have it all together and waking up at 5 a.m. every day, that's great. Like, I would love that, but we don't all have it together all the time, you know what I mean? And that's okay. This is not a perfect adult period. This is a transition period. So that's something that needs to be recognized, that this is not the time where we're supposed to have it all together and we're supposed to use all our lessons to now create this perfect environment. Like, this is literally just an in-between phase. And that's something that I wish I knew right after I graduated, but I didn't, so I'll tell you. Number 3, ask yourself right now, like I said, it's a transition period. This would be a perfect time for you to ask yourself what really matters to you. And I'm not talking about like the perfect job or, the perfect day-to-day life or, the most money, because obviously money rules the world. Like, we all want a great job, we all want money, we all want status, we all want fame. We'll get into that later. But in certain jobs and in certain careers and in certain lifestyles, there are sacrifices that need to be made. And to ask yourself what is really important to you is actually really vital in understanding what you're going to do in the next 10 years in order to create that life that's important to you for when you're 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and so on. Such as, is having a family at a certain age really important to you? Or is meeting someone at a certain age or settling down at a certain age really important to you? Or are you more focused on your career? Is your career really important to you? Is a certain hobby really important to you to somehow, perfect at a certain time? Or do you have certain goals outside of your career? Certain things that you would really like to get better on, or a side hustle. Is that something that's important to you? Because I think that's the time right now is to start those things. Not like the relationship and the babies and all that, but like the side hustles or the growth or certain goals like fitness goals or I don't know, even like fashion goals, or like, is there a certain way that you would like to, that you always wanted to present yourself as? Or are there certain things like redecorating your room, or like getting into what's it called? Like room decor. I can't think of the word right now, but or are you really interested in writing something? Making a project, doing a creative project, because those things are best done while you're figuring yourself out. Because then you're going to understand yourself even more as you divulge into your different goals that you've pushed off this entire time that you've been studying. And obviously we're going to be working and everything, so it's not like you have all the time in the world, but you do have a little bit more time to think and to process who you are. And a good way of doing that is just asking yourself what really matters to you, asking yourself the priorities. Do you really want to live in a city one day? Do you really want to live in nature? Do you want to live near a beach? Do you want to have a lot of money, or is it more important for you to be traveling? Is there certain places you'd like to travel before a certain age? Like, things right now that if you plant the seeds for later. And I think it's really important at this time to not only ask yourself what's important to you and what are your values, but also ask yourself what goals are important for you to accomplish at a certain time. Because if we keep wondering and worrying about not being enough or not getting enough done, then we're not getting anything done. So if we allow ourselves and dare ourselves to dream, then maybe we could get much more out of this time than we think. Number 4. Maybe what scares you is what you should be going after. Hear me out. So, this is a scary time. But, are you staying in your comfort zone? Answer my question right now. I'm waiting. Okay. Comment below. Are you in your comfort zone? Because I think we all were at some point. When we were in school, school was tough. School was tough for me. I was never really comfortable in school, I wouldn't say that, but there was always a next thing to look after, a next thing to go after. And now, everything that we're doing is on us, the job we go after, the career we pursue. We can just stay in our comfort zone. And if something really scares you to the point where you may never go after it, but you know that you'll never truly be happy unless you don't, maybe then you should be taking steps to go after it. And that doesn't mean dropping everything. It means, doing it in a safe and productive way. And yeah. Number 5, remind yourself that nothing is permanent. Not what you're doing now and not what you're going after. Like, you could be in a job right now and that could just be your in-between job. Just because you go after something or just because you get something doesn't mean that you're stuck with it, or it doesn't mean it's the extent of your growth. Right now, you are your version of yourself at 22 or 23 or whatever age you are. But after that, you're going to evolve. And you don't want to limit yourself to what you're capable of now, because that's only the tip of what you're going to become. So if you keep thinking that this is permanent and oh my god, I'm never going to become anything, or this isn't where I want to be in life right now, why am I so behind from everybody else? We're all going our path a different way, and literally nobody is behind, because you're all coming from different upbringings, you're all coming from different educations, you're all coming from different advantages or disadvantages. And if you just remind yourself that, yeah, maybe I'm not in my place that I would like to be right now, it doesn't mean that I'm stuck here forever, because I'm constantly evolving, which means that my life has to be constantly evolving, and my career has to be constantly evolving, and my love life has to be constantly evolving, and my insecurities and my self-image, because that's just reality and that's just life. And you can't really, you're basically cheating yourself if you believe that this status in your life is the only thing. And obviously we all compare each other to ourselves, especially people who are graduating in the same class with, especially people who are graduating around the same time and seem to have the best job or the best career. But some advice that I heard recently, which was really good, I heard it from an acting coach actually, and I told them, there are so many people who are applying for these schools who have had years and years of professional acting experience, and I am just coming, with the experience that I've had, which has just been through schools, and I feel like I don't deserve to be applying. It's the imposter syndrome, just am I qualified or am I good enough because I don't have experience? But at the end of the day, the amount of work and the amount of love and passion and the amount of qualities that you have can overpower experience sometimes, or it can overpower what you think that you're not good enough for. I think it's always important to try, because you have no idea how capable you are at something until sometimes other people can see things in you that you never saw in yourself. And I'm not saying to look for external validation, because that's something I personally hate doing, but it's the reality that sometimes everybody around you could see something that you've just always felt insecure about. And everyone can see that you're capable except for you. And it's really that, light bulb moment where you realize oh, if I put myself out there, there may be something that will make me stand out. Even if I feel like everybody else is more capable, there may be something, because it's just who I am. But if you keep comparing yourself to other people and trying to be like other people, then that's never going to come out, because you're never going to be your authentic and real self. And the thing that the acting coach told me is that if someone has gone through professional acting experience and they've done well in the past 2-3 years or whatever, they may have had that time then, but then they may go through a lull where they have nothing. And then you may go through a time where you have amazing work, and then you may go through a time where you have nothing. And obviously this is not the case with everyone. Most people who have more of a stable career, they're not going to go through periods where they have nothing. But the point is that their timing that you're comparing, the person you're comparing yourself to, because I know you are, may be good now, but it doesn't mean that your timing is not going to be good later. Because the reality of life is, it's always going to go up and down. It's going to go up, and then maybe that person will go down. But then they'll go back up, and then you're going to be going up, and then you're going to be going down. It's just the reality. You may not be in the best place right now, but it doesn't mean that your time isn't coming. And if you continue to work for what you want, and talk like we talked about earlier, and ask yourself what you really want, and do all the little steps outside of your career, outside of your love life, whatever you're going towards, then your time is going to come. Inevitably, it's going to come, because that's just, the curve of life. You don't know what it took for that person to get there, but they didn't show the parts where they were low. First of all, your time off while you're figuring out what you want, if you do take off time, could never be a waste. Because we're not in a race. We're in a marathon. There is no race. Who are you chasing? What are you chasing? Like, if you don't know what you're chasing, why are you worried about wasting time? Like, if you don't know what's at the end of the tunnel, what are you going after? And who are you comparing yourself to? Because I'm confused. Like I'm asking myself this at this point. Like, what was I worried about running out of time for if I have no idea what was happening at the finish line? You know what I mean? And it was always just like this mentality of like, oh, but if I was there, then it would be better. Or if I was there, then I'd be better. And it's like, I have no idea if that's true. I have no idea if that's true. All I know is here. All I know is how to make this reality better. So that's literally all I can do. If there's no here, there, like this. And it's literally like a wake-up call of like, yeah, that person has a better life. Yeah, that person has a better life. Social media. But it's like, do you want their life or do you want to make your life better? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to fix your mess and be your best version of yourself, or do you want to be them? Because you don't even know them or what they think. So, I don't know. Number 6. Number 6. The discussions you have with yourself now are going to help implement your sense of self and your goals later. So we kind of already touched on this and we talked about this, but basically all the discussions that you're having with yourself now, all the questions you're asking yourself, all the anxieties and stress and the feeling of what's my purpose, the feeling of what am I supposed to do with my life, what am I doing, all those questions are actually going to help you not ask those questions later. That's so normal is what I'm realizing. When you're in your 20s, this is literally what you're always asking, but the moment you start implementing the answers, then later and you get to reap the benefits, or maybe you're still asking yourself those questions later, and that's probably gonna be me. That's you're gonna always be asking yourself those questions, but it's you figure it out as you go, as you live your life, which is pretty cool. And if you actually ask yourself those questions and not shy away from them, then you may not end up waking up one day at 70 years old and regretting your life. You may end up actually accidentally going after it. Number 7. So we just talked about this, but there's no right path or perfect job. There's only right for you. Yeah! I asked when I was trying to figure out what I was doing, what's the right path? What's the right path? And everyone would just keep saying, I don't know. I can't tell you that. Only you can tell yourself that. And while that is true, it really took me a while to realize that there's literally no right path. That genuinely doesn't exist. There's only the path you take. And then when you decide on your path and something goes wrong, or inevitably something's always going to go wrong, that's just life, or maybe it doesn't work out the way you want, or maybe it does, then your life will reroute, and then that will be your new path. You choose your path. You have complete control, and whatever path you choose, your life reroutes. It's just like Google Maps. It tells you to go one way, you go the other, because you felt like going that way, or maybe you made a mistake, and then it reroutes. Does it pull your car to the other direction? No, but that can happen sometimes. The universe can try to pull you into a different direction, but it can't physically pull you into the other direction. It can't move you to the other direction. You're going to still take the path that you want to take. Whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision, you can't really know. You're just going to do it because it feels right. And then your life is going to reroute. And then it's going to reroute again. And it's going to reroute again until you feel like you maybe have got a hang of life. And then life's going to pull the rug from you and be like, you're funny, you got a hang of it, you're funny. And then you're going to try again. And that's just the reality. So pick the path that feels most right for you and be okay with failing. And that brings me to my next point. Number 8, the truth. So the truth is, it's okay to be ambitious. And it's not something to apologize for. And I feel like it's something that for a long time I felt like I need to apologize for, is my ambition, or having too big of dreams, or wanting more than just the regular or the status quo or what people expect of me. And it's just something I've realized that it's just not something I need to apologize for or feel ashamed of at all. Don't ever feel ashamed of your ambition. If you want something and it makes people uncomfortable, make them uncomfortable. If you want something and it scares people or it pushes people away, maybe they're not meant to be in your life. Like, that's the reality of it. And at the end of the day, you really have to ask yourself, what is your ambition driven by? Because I think that's the most important thing. I don't even think it's about, ambition being bad. I think it has to do with what you're doing. Like, what are you doing that you need that much ambition? Or what are you doing that you need that goal to be accomplished? Like, is it money? Is it fame? Is it stability? Is it fear? Is it love? Is it passion? Because all of those answers change the question. That if it's fear, are you going towards ambition, or are you running from something? Or if it's love, are you going towards ambition, or are you going towards your dreams? And it's really something. And of course, if it's money, if your ambition is to have a lot of money, that's fair. But you have to ask yourself, if you're going to have that much ambition, or if you're going to have that much, that many goals, then what are you willing to sacrifice? And that brings us back to what's important to you. And so I'm bringing this point up because I feel like for a lot of my life I have been really ambitious, and a lot of it was driven by fear, and it was driven by trying to escape things that have traumatized me in the past, or trying to escape my past or myself sometimes, or trying to heighten my self-worth, because I thought that if I got a certain goal or got to a certain place that I would feel better about myself. And I graduated college and still did not feel better about myself at all. Like, I just felt the same, and all those things that I had been running from were still there. And it really took me taking a good look at myself and asking myself why I need all of this so much, and going to therapy, before I realized that it's never been about fear. My ambition has to do with fulfilling my dreams of making it on TV as an actor, and bringing all my stories and my life lessons onto TV and writing, and adding to the world that's fulfilled me and given me friends and given me companionship and taught me so many lessons throughout my life. And I want to add to that, and that's my dream. And I don't think there's anything that I should feel ashamed of when it comes to that ambition. But I don't think that it's something that I need to sacrifice everything for or lose everything for, because I'm not running and I'm not feared anymore. I know that I can accomplish what I want to accomplish while still giving love and care to myself and to others. Number 9. If you have dreams, they are worth the risk. So I've already said, a lot of things about that, but that's basically just me saying that if you were terrified of something, or, you really feel like you'd be going against everyone and everything in order to go for it, just go for it. Because trust me, betting on yourself is the perfect person to bet on. And work for it. Work your ass off to it. Last point, number 10. Yeah, post-grad may not be the happy and perfect experience that you thought, or maybe it is, and if it is, I'm super happy for you, but it wasn't my experience. For me, it was messy and brutal and ugly, but that's kind of the beauty of it. So if you are able to embrace the mess, your mess, and go after what you really want, then I think you're gonna have a great go at this thing called life. Thank you so much for checking out my video. So this is my post-grad video, my post-grad diaries, so I will definitely be adding more videos as I live my life and kind of, you know, learn more things just about how I feel post-grad, and like I'll keep you updated on what I'm doing and things like that. And yeah, I hope this video has been helpful at all. If not, no worries. Please comment below just to let me know how you're feeling post-grad, what your experiences are. Like, I'd love to read them in chat, and you guys can chat with each other. And yeah, so please hit that like button. It would really, really help me so much. It'll help me to continue making videos, and just like it'll be a nice feedback for me. Comment below, like I said, and hit subscribe because I'm going to be continuing making new videos. I have the vlogs, I have post-grad. Like, I'm just going to keep making content for you guys. Yeah, thanks for checking out the Miss Vickard. I'll see you in my next video.